Welcome to another Critique the Community. I am incredibly sick.
No.
Not with the virus.
No.
I just have a really bad ear infection from swimming too much, and my ears.
Such a hard life you have.
Well, at the moment it is. Like my jaw's all swollen up, like it's hard to open my mouth. It hurts to talk. Headache. Ear. I mean, I can just touch it, and it's like a screwdriver in my ear. So, I'm going to need you to kind of take lead today.
All right. Well, I don't know that when we woke up today, we thought this would be Critique the Community Day.
No.
Lots been going on. Do you feel good enough to do a coronavirus journal tonight?
We have to. We have to.
If you're interested in that, make sure you set it a reminder. We'll make a post here in a minute. But today, this very moment, it's all about Critique the Community.
Yes.
You guys know the rules 1 through 5. 1 is a snapshot. 2 is an image that needs work. 3 is a solid image for your portfolio. 4 is an excellent image. And 5 is world class. We are changing things up a little bit here. Normally we give 2 free tutorials, 1 to the highest winner and then 1 to a random winner. But we decided before this contest even started that we would just do 2 random winners.
They don't necessarily have to be random, but just we don't necessarily have to give it to the
top
highest
guy. Well,
yeah.
We should make a decision right now, right?
Do whatever you want.
You're
in
going to
charge
pick 2
today.
random numbers?
Sure, pick them.
Well, I've seen the images.
2 and 10.
2 and 10. So if those are your images, go to fstoppers.com/store. You will be able to pick out a free tutorial and then email you.
Send me a private message on fstoppers.com and let me know what you want, and I'll get it sent to you.
We are also doing something new. We have 10% off any of our tutorials in the Fstoppers store. If you are watching this critique right now, you can go to fstoppers.com/store, add a product into the store, into your cart, and then use the code CRITIQUE. CRITIQUE? Critique.
Yeah, you can spell it.
It's right up there in the tab. So, should we get started with this? Oh, and the next contest is also in the description below. You can find that on fstoppers.com/contest, and that is going to be your interpretation of storm. And we're not looking for like a lot of landscape photos with crazy storms, although you could submit that. But any image you've ever taken that incorporates like stormy weather or moody weather in some way, submit that to the critique. And then in the next Critique the Community, we will be critiquing the 10 best images that utilize the theme storm.
Let's get to it.
All right, this is the top rated image.
I'll go full screen here first. Ooh, man.
And the theme of this critique was what? This was something you and Mike set.
Mike Kelly wanted images that tell a story. And there was a bit of controversy in the last critique.
I saw this.
At the beginning, Mike said he wanted to see images that tell a story. And I made a joke about like, well, what if it was just a hot chick or something? Because, you know, like all the creepy photographer guys that take pictures.
You got to warn people to cover their ears when you say stuff like this.
The word chick?
Yeah, you can't use a hot chick. That's like kids are watching.
Yeah, it was like I was mocking the photographers that just take pictures of naked girls or, you know, hot girls and then call it storytelling or like fine art or whatever.
There was a lot of that in these images. There was like, you know, a doorway with a butt hanging out. And like,
right. It's like not storytelling at all. Well, I kind of got shamed by a lot of, it probably wasn't that many, it was like 3 women, but they were adamant that I re-edit the last critique, like how dare I objectify women? And I'm like, ladies, I think you're misunderstanding, like I'm on your side. I was mocking the men that do that. This is how joking works.
Yeah.
And I explained that, like, and they said I still needed to pull the video, re-edit it.
I saw one comment where somebody was saying something about like we've worked too hard in this industry to be females and, you know, female photographers and this and that, and then for Mr. Morris to just come along and pull the rug from under us. And I was like, I don't think he said anything about like being a female photographer. He was talking about creepy men who take pictures.
I know.
I don't know. I'm not trying to call out any of our readers or make like it just seems like a strange non-issue. But well, apparently Mike cringed even when you said it. I didn't see.
Wait, did Mike say that?
No, that's what people were saying.
Okay.
I was like, I don't.
Because Mike got the joke.
Yeah, I think he was like, yeah, don't be that guy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, how dare you believe.
Well, after this uproar and outrage, you know, I was talking with you and Mike, and I'm like, the scary thing is, this is one of the least offensive things I've ever said on a critique. So if making a joke about creepy photographers is offensive, then you may not want to watch this critique, especially with
an image like this.
Yeah, there is butt in this.
The #1 most highly rated image. Shows a little butt cheek there.
Yeah, this image was by Chase Wilson.
Should we rate this before we read the story?
I wasn't going to read the story.
Okay.
I was just going to say, Chase has, I think Chase has already won a few other critiques. Chase has become known for these incredible storytelling images. You know, I don't know if this one's not quite as deep as some other ones, even though I think this image is incredible. So I don't feel guilty not giving Chase the highest rated image of the critique.
He can't win all the tutorials.
No, he can't win them all. He can't win them all. But
he did win this critique with the highest rated image.
Yeah. Are you ready to rate it?
I think so.
3, 2, 1.
I'm
in between a 4 and a 5. I'm gonna just go 5.
That's exactly where I am. I felt the same way. I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to think of what am I going to critique if I don't give it a 5.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, with Chase, a lot of his work, I mean, I imagine if you had a nice book of images, they're all going to be solid 4s and 5s. I feel like this is one of those images that's going to be killer in print. It's going to be timeless. It's strange to think that, like, you can't even see the person's face, but it works in this instance.
Yeah.
The toning is really nice. It's sexy, but it's like, it's not over the top.
Yeah, he captured the hot chick, but not in an egregious way.
Well, he mentions here in the comments that this was styled after the 100 Rifles movie poster. I actually looked that up before we went live, and there are about
pull that up.
There's about 10 different versions of this movie poster.
Okay.
And
100 Rifles?
Yeah, and so some of them have nothing to do with this image, and then others are variations of the theme. I guess the idea is like there's a war and they're going to use a hot girl showering to distract the army to go flirt with her or something, while the opposing army can take advantage of the situation. But this is the one that's a little more over the top. But then if you scroll to, you know, you can see all the other movie posters over there. Some of them do not incorporate the same scene, while others have it, you know, much smaller.
Does this look like Melania Trump?
It's, what's the girl's name? Raquel Welch, which was like a 70s, 80s kind of Bo Derek of the time, I think.
Okay.
But we can't talk about Melania Trump. We'll have to save that for tonight.
Save that. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I love the color toning here. He always has really good tones in his work. I feel like the shade and the highlight, there's just so much texture. This horse is kind of checking her out. And the thing I always wonder is, he says he shot this on location, but man, all these props look, there's something about this barrel that looks, it pops a little bit more than anything else in the image. It almost looks like, when I look at it from far away, it almost looks like that could have been composited in.
Now that you mention that, it does almost seem like he didn't have a barrel available.
But what's amazing is, as a photographer trying to think conceptually, if you said you have to take a picture of a girl out in a field or out in a salt flat with a shower, like you have to come up with this, you know, this shower right here, and you can see it's just like really unique. It looks kind of pieced together. It looks rustic. It fits the times. The shower head isn't like some super modern shower head. Like everything fits the theme really well, and that's what I really love about his work. And that's what I love about work like this, is that nothing seems out of place.
Danny, thanks for the super chat. He gave us 20 bucks and says, "Keep up the great work. You all are the goats." Thank you very much. Do you want to read this?
It's really long. Basically, he went out to the Salton Shores that are within the Salton Sea. I believe that's California. And he was trying to reproduce this cover that we just showed you and kind of do the concept, although he says he thought the cover was kind of ridiculous. Like this girl with wet clothes, like to sell a movie, you know, like I don't know that you could do that in today's environment. But, you know, that was kind of where we were back in the 70s or 80s whenever that movie came out.
This is great content, Patrick.
I don't know. He wrote so much that, I mean, I could just sit here and read the whole thing, but he's just talking about how hot it was and about getting everything at play. Does he say anything about... So I had to composite it in afterwards. As such, I wasn't able to get anybody to take the horses out to the location. So yeah, it sounds like this is a composite, which is the way I think an image like this would be shot.
It's done well, though. I mean, how much of this is a composite? I shot this image during what turned out to be the hottest summer on record. On the day of the shoot, it got up to 114 before we packed up and left. As such, I wasn't going to be able to get anybody to take the horses out to do the location, so I had to composite them in afterwards. And thank God I did. Okay, interesting. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of how movie posters are made today anyway. Almost nothing is shot in one image.
He says down here, the goal was to create an image that felt absurdly out of place with its use of sex in a neo-spaghetti western setting. How often do you go out and shoot with such an intention that you try to make an absurd image that plays on neo-spaghetti westerns with
absolutely
a theme
never. But, you know, I just feel like this is the quality
that puts you
at the top of the photography or advertising game. I mean, these are the details that like a Quentin Tarantino thinks about when he's choosing every detail for a scene in a movie or whatever. And so if this photographer hasn't, you know, really made it yet, I think if he, Chase, if he continues shooting stuff with this much detail, I think he's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Next up.
All right, so that's the highest rated image. The next image is number 2, which was one of our random winners. And here we go.
I'll go full screen here.
I will have to say, in picking out these images, it was challenging to think like, I needed to pick many that were rated high because people did like those images, and I think they were the best. But the story element, you know, like this is one that's kind of... I look at this and I kind of think of like Inception or like he's reading, but like this represents his mind or something.
Is this real? You think this was taken by Ali Al-Sulaiman? Maybe. I drove to this beautiful place called Ouse Valley Viaduct, an hour south of London. I took a few shots but didn't like the light much, so I decided to return later for perfect light and shadow. I had a very clear vision of the shot, and I was hoping to achieve what I had envisioned. It came out as I wanted, and I thought I would share the results with you. So it doesn't sound like this is composited. You know, I might have thought that this was... one of them was shot, and then he just stacked them in the background.
Well, you can see if you zoom in here, you also have some difference. I mean, look at those little notches. They're all slightly different, and there's also some different, like, graffiti on the, or, you know, stucco or whatever.
Yeah.
Masonry,
and, you know,
on the rocks.
With the kid reading and everything, like, it's hard, like, how deep do you want to go with the story, but I just kind of feel like this could represent, you know, like his mind or his imagination, or, you know, this book is taking him into another reality or whatever. Normally, I don't like reading that much into, you know, books or movies or photography, but I feel like this really works for me.
I hate to ever say something is like an inspirational photo because typically inspirational photos seem really cheesy and cliche. But this feels like an inspirational photo you might see like in a college classroom or something, where it's like reading can take you to the edges of the earth or something, or I don't know, open your mind up. It feels like it has that kind of use to it.
Right.
But it is more of a fine art sort of thing. I don't know really what the story is, but...
We probably need to rate this.
There we go.
3, 2, 1. 4 stars. It's hard to see over here. What'd you get, 4 as well?
I give it 4. I really like this. I think the tones are great. I think the model looks great. I like his pose. I like the lamp. Like, there's really nothing I don't dislike about this.
There's really nothing that you dislike.
I dislike it a lot.
Nothing that you don't dislike.
Yeah, it's a double negative. Obviously, I don't read enough to be able to see down the center. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, let's...
Just let me give up.
You know,
all of my head.
I don't know that we can do these live videos when I am handicapped like this. I don't think you're capable of carrying the show.
No, I say stupid stuff like that all the time. It's
Okay.
just...
Next up.
So this is image number 3. Every time I see a picture of the Dolomites, I always think of myself being quite dumb when we did Photographing the World 3, I don't even remember. Or for some reason I thought we were going to the Alps, maybe the Italian Alps, and then Elia was like, no, we're actually going to maybe the Dolomites. I still get those two things mixed up, but anytime it comes up, Elia never resists a chance to make fun of me. The Southern Dolomites.
We never do.
Or the Southern Alps.
Who was this taken by? Can you read this name?
Ales Krevik? Are you just trying to get me to...
I can't read any of these names. I am...
You're blind?
First of all, I'm illiterate anyway, but then, like, all these people that submit are from other countries, and I find it very difficult. Mike Kelly did a great job of... at least he read them back with confidence. He could have been totally wrong. Let's go ahead and rate this.
All right.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars. We agree. You're hiding behind the screen there. I don't know that this is really storytelling. So basically, he just says that these old carriages are used to take tourists around the town. So it's not like he planned this out or anything. And the guy kind of, you know, he looks old, like he's in overalls or whatever, but the family is obviously just in like everyday clothing.
Yeah, it's like they might as well be going to Disneyland or something.
So would you consider this storytelling? I mean, you put it in the critique.
Yeah, it was just different, and I believe it was rated higher. And I always struggle, like, when picking out images for these critiques, I don't want them to all be, like, super amazing with no critique. I want to be able to have something to say and give people, like, an idea of what makes an image great or not from, like, a portfolio standpoint.
I don't mind the image. I think the lighting is nice and everything. The horses are beautiful. The reflection's nice. Maybe I'd crop in a little bit. I feel like the bottom is a little pointless. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, exactly. I would do something like that.
You just got to get better characters. Like, you have to go out with intention and say, I'm going to make a photograph today.
But keep in mind, even if he had gotten the people riding in the back to be, you know, period dressed, is that much storytelling? I mean, maybe you could compare it to the first image and go, hey, it's the same. It's, you know, old-timey people with horses.
If you look at this image and you look at what Chase did in the first image, it's like he would have women getting water out of the, you know, the little lake there, and you'd have other people interacting. Mm-hmm. It would almost feel like, man, this is this is what it looked like 200 years ago.
Yeah.
There would be a lot of storytelling going on. There'd be interaction with people, and there'd be depth to the image. This just kind of feels like a very well-exposed, middle-of-the-day shot with beautiful mountains in the background. Compositionally, let me zoom back out so you can see what the original composition was. Compositionally, it's not horrible. Like, I do like what you were saying, zooming in more. But there's enough things going on here that if you were scrolling through a website, I think this image wouldn't completely offend you or put you off, but there's so much more that this location and this subject matter could have injected into it to make it have more weight
Gotcha.
and more interest.
Next up.
Fortunately, vertical images don't show up too well in our picture-in-picture.
Yeah. This was taken by Rudy Yanto. 2 village students are going to school. On the way, they are playing around.
This is another image where I didn't, so many images were composites and tons of lighting and tons of conceptual themes, and some of them were so abstract that I was like, this is just weird,
Yep.
I don't know what kind of use this would have. So I wanted to make sure to include some just natural lit kind of travel photos. It's kind of hard to tell if this person's traveling to this location or if he's from there and knows this scene really well. But I just thought this had a different vibe than some of the other highest rated images.
I love this image. I love, that you have these very simply made homes, but then we have these kids dressed in an obvious, like, fancier school uniform, It just kind of shows you that education is starting to take over in these more remote areas. And then them playing with each other and laughing and stuff adds a lot to this as well. I don't know. It's I don't know if story is the word I would use to describe this, but certainly this is a lot of information. I feel like this could almost be used as like in a history book or something, some historical record of like what this town or country, snapshot looked like.
Yeah, and that's what's hard with the theme of storytelling is a lot of images were kind of like Disney movie posters or something, where it's like all the characters are there and it's all composited and lit and it's like this graphic thing and you may or may not know the story, but it's hinting at something very obvious.
Yeah.
This is almost just like photojournalism, which is also still storytelling. So I think I struggled a lot with this theme of just trying to figure out what maybe your or Mike's intentions were. But I really like this image. Are you ready to rate it?
Yeah, let me look at it one more time.
There's one thing, it feels like it's back focused.
What?
I don't know if
focus?
I don't know if you can totally see that.
It's hard to tell with these low-res submissions, but
yeah, it looks like the hay back there on the top is more sharp than the boys. But
if that's the case, that's really bad.
it's unfortunate, but I still think. Should we rate it?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
3.
3 stars.
This is the highest rated 3 image I think I will give with a photo that I now see is pretty severely out of focus.
I'm going to shrink this down just the littlest bit. Let's see.
I don't know if you guys out there are able to see even when I zoom in just what I'm talking about, but there's some motion blur for sure, but it's like out of focus. If you ran this in a small publication or online or on a podcast like we're doing right now, I don't think you would really notice or it'd be that big of a deal, but if this ever needed to be print large, your eye's going to go right to it,
Yeah. Okay.
Anything interesting going on in the chat?
Nope. That's next up.
How people know where the aqueduct is in England. All right, next image. Another vertical.
Certainly a very cool image. Do you feel like this is
Storytelling?
story?
It's as much of a story as most of the other images in the submission that were submitted in the contest. It's hard because with the write-up, you can kind of say anything as a story, once you have the back.
So, so let me just say what he said here. This was taken by Janos Lakatos. He says, this is called Stairs and Stories. This is a composite image of 30 pictures. While I was waiting for my train, I took several pictures of people passing on the staircase, minding their business. From this perspective, I wanted to make the viewer feel like he or she was looking at people like ants. So I could say that this is definitely, a lot of stories going on if each person in the scene was doing something super interesting and unique.
Do you think they have to all be doing something interesting and unique for there to be a story?
Well,
I mean, like, I look at this image and I think if there was something blatantly going on in the middle or off to the side, if someone was proposing, or you had a bride and a groom, or you had somebody in a fist fight, or you had somebody who fell down the stairs, like if you had some action somewhere in this frame, I think it would be way better. But I don't know that you need tons of maybe it's just travel. Like this could be an image about traveling in the age of coronavirus, or about any number of travel things.
Absolutely. It's a great image. I think it could be used photojournalistically. I think it could be used historically, kind of like the last shot of like, here's a snapshot of what society looked like in this time, in this place. In terms of telling a story, though, it just kind of seems like people walking. But I do like it a lot. You ready to rate it?
Stories just travel. I mean, that's like, maybe it's too surface level, but...
3, 2, 1. So
I'm gonna go with a 4.
I went 3. Damn it! I'm having so much trouble. I gotta do it up here.
Just start raising it up.
I mean, I do think this is a 4-star image on its own. I think I'm rating it a little bit harshly just because I feel like it's not as much
to do with the theme.
Yeah, but I didn't go through all the images in the critique like you did, but I looked at a lot of them. And a few of them were incredible stories.
Yeah. I think I have a few more coming up.
The photos were just so bad. They just weren't done well.
Yeah.
And then there were incredible photos like this one.
The story element was a little weaker.
Yeah, so I know it was tough for you to
well, and the other issue is like doing these live critiques, because we talk more about them and we read the backstories. We've now gone from 20 images to 10. I didn't want 2 or 3 of the 10 images to be from the same photographer. So some of the highest rated images were from the same photographer again and again. Like I know Chase had another image that was really interesting. Spoiler alert, he didn't make the critique twice. But so I just tried to make it a little well-rounded. And I know a lot of people in the comments on the post are always like, this should be disqualified, it doesn't meet the theme. You can pick your bone with me now, because I'm the one who picked these out. All right, here is the next image.
This, at least a few days ago, this was the second highest rated image. Was it still up there when you went through?
I don't know. This was, this is in the top 5. I don't remember the actual number it fell into, but...
This was taken by Dan Francis. He calls it Passing Time. Father Time is having a chess match with death for the fate of people's souls. Photographed in my studio basement, my uncle is portraying Father Time with my bathrobe and my wife's sandals, and I am under the cloak of death playing the chess match of life with him. I have people I've photographed placed on the chessboard. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Along with me being lifted up by death while my son is reaching out for me. Wait, what?
The photographer is in the fingers of death.
Oh, yeah, I missed that.
And I guess
before.
death
Okay.
is like about to take him, and his son says no, but then his dad is still Father Time, but I guess that's conceptual. Father Time is playing with death, and it's time for the dad to die and be taken from his son.
So, in my humble opinion, this is an example of an incredible story, but I don't really like the execution on the photography. It feels like
when you say that, do you mean the lighting and the photography and the composition, or do you mean like the people that are cast and the art direction.
The guy on the right, who's he supposed to be?
Father
Time. I think he looks great. I love the lighting on him, the pose, the expression, the beard. Like, I really think he looks great. What I have a problem with is, I don't know, like the concrete wall in the back with the God rays down the left. It just looks super fakey to me. And then the lighting on the Skeletor's hands and stuff just seems like really heavy dodging and burning.
Do you think it's even real, or that was just composited in there?
I don't know. He also says the clock is set to 7 minutes to midnight, and there's also religious symbols etched into the stone behind them, along with Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Speaking of clocks about to strike midnight, what is the clock called that we like see when the end of the world's happening?
I don't remember.
You know what I'm talking about? There's like the doomsday clock, maybe that's what it's called?
Yeah,
I think like a year ago or so, they always update it a little bit, and it's like we're very close to the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened in 2020? Don't we have to move that hand like 10 minutes and it's past midnight?
Yeah, you would think
I
we're
don't
already
understand.
there.
Have we reached midnight yet on the doomsday clock?
Yeah. Did we rate this?
We haven't. Also, like, I don't know, just the bottom of his, you can't even see it on our screen, but the bottom of his, whatever that's called, hood. What's Grim Reaper wear?
I don't know.
All right. You ready?
3, 2, 1. I know everybody's gonna hate me for this.
We went 2.
This is one of the. This was at one time. This was the highest rated image in the entire critique. I'm just being completely honest. Like, I love the amount of thought that went into this and the amount of effort that went into this. But when I see this image, I step back and just look at it as a photograph. This does not look like a high-end professional photographer's portfolio.
I tend to agree with you.
If this was like the first image on someone's website, I would not think they were a professional at all. I would think, oh, this is somebody who does photography as a hobby for fun, which is 100% fine.
I hate calling out other websites, but we always talk about Model Mayhem photographers. This is kind of like a deviant art.
Yeah, deviant art. I don't even know, is that thing still around?
I don't know if that's still around, but it's just like, back in the time of like MySpace and stuff, people came up with these types of images that are super grungy and mystical, and I just, I don't know where this would fall in like super high-end portfolios. I agree with you. I gave it still a 3 only because I think it's like good enough to belong in someone's portfolio, but I feel like it could easily fall out. It doesn't upset me maybe as much as it is you, but
it upsets me greatly.
Well, let's move on to the
next image. So, remember a second ago when we were talking about the buggy with the horses pulling the family that are dressed in normal clothes?
Right.
And if we put those people in period clothing, would all of a sudden it become this like great storytelling image? And I didn't think so.
Yeah.
This one, even though it's kind of similar, it's like a person by the mountains with some horses, I feel like this does tell more of a story. Certainly not as much as it could. There could be more going on, but the fact that they're walking, he's not riding the horses. The fact that there's the line of horses, he's leading them through the snowstorm. There's the water down below. If they fall in, they might die. This is treacherous. Who knows if they're going to make it? There's just a lot more going on here than a portrait of people riding in a horse and buggy. So for that reason, I feel like this does have more of a story to tell.
And there's something about I know I've had this conversation with Elia Liccardi quite a bit. This idea that like a great exposure, but early in the day, there's something about that just never really resonates. Maybe with just photographers.
What are you saying right now?
I just say the lighting in this image is just more moody and it's overcast. It's just very different. Whereas the one with the buggy felt like a snapshot,
Oh.
even though it was beautiful lighting. The conversation I've always had with Eli Licardi is, I'm always like, why don't you shoot something in the middle of the day? Because he always tends to pick the early and late part of the day. And he's like, well, a lot of the tour guide books, they do that. They shoot the beach picture in the Bahamas at 2 in the afternoon with the hard light, and it's, you know, it's not a pretty time of day to shoot, but it captures kind of what it would look like if you were traveling and being a tourist, you know?
Yep.
And I feel like there's something weird about that. I don't know if it's a psychological thing that only photographers notice, but we always tend to gravitate towards more extreme lighting, either with blue hour or nighttime or overcast or some kind of dramatic lighting. But if the shot is just blue skies and shadows and highlights and at 3 in the afternoon, but it's shot at the right exposure, it doesn't have the same impact that it might have at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
I see what you're saying.
And so like this image has a touch of that. I'm not articulating it very well, I don't think, but this image has this moodier light. Even though it's very flat, it still puts you in there. Like I feel a coldness that I might not feel if it was hard light hitting the scene. You know what I mean?
This was taken by Pedro Pulido, and reading his description actually gives me a newfound appreciation for this image. Do you want to go ahead and rate it?
During the winter, farmers in the Peruvian Andes offer themselves to go and collect food in the nearest city. They take turns. The snow can get so thick it's dangerous to ride the horses, so they have to walk sometimes for miles. This shot was taken in the area of Augustin Gate at 4,400 meters. It's 1,400 feet above sea level.
14,000.
14,000 feet above sea level. I followed one of these farmers during his journey to the city around 25 miles away from home.
Now, I thought that this was going to be somewhat set up. I thought maybe the snowflakes were fake, and you know, this was just kind of some composite thing. But this is the real deal. People really living like this.
What I wonder with this image and with the other carriage image that we've been referencing is like, what's behind the photographer? Is the little village in town right there, and this is the like he didn't go 12 miles into this journey to capture it.
Not. Yeah.
He's at one of the extremes, and I was thinking that with the other image is like right behind that carriage coming in. Is that where the carriages come back and drop the people off, and right behind them is the gift shop? It doesn't really matter, but it's just kind of ironic when you go to some of these locations and you see the epic shot, and then you realize the photographer standing on the boulders for the lookout point where you could pull your car right up to it.
Yeah.
But this gives you the vibe of being very isolated. I don't feel like I'm in an area where there's a town at all. I think that really helps the image.
Let's rate it.
Oh, we haven't even rated this yet.
3, 2, 1. I'm going 4.
I'm between a 3 and a 4.
All right, next image. This looks like a Felix Hernandez.
My hair does tell a story. You know what the story is?
That you don't have your life together?
That I don't have. Yeah, that's exactly it. I do not have my life together. But I haven't caught coronavirus, so there is that.
Hopefully, I haven't caught it in my ear. I am just... I know what it's like to be Mike Kelly now. We always joke Mike Kelly is deaf, you know? I think he has potentially ringing in both ears, and maybe he's like partly deaf in one. And this ear is completely clogged up, swollen shut. I hear this high-pitched ringing nonstop.
That's not your computer over here.
That's another ringing. I hear that out of this ear. So I know what it's like to be Mike now.
So this is one of 2 or 3 images that, what's the photographer's name again?
Felix Hernandez.
Felix submitted, and I don't know that there was another one that was definitely more whimsical that I liked a lot, but I chose this one because it was the higher rated image. But this one's so strange. Like I love it. It's really cool. But in terms of a story, I'm not exactly like, I don't know what to make of it.
Here's what he says. He calls it Fix It. Sometimes we feel this way, but against all odds, we just fix it. No matter what, we keep on. Shot in the studio. I did scale modeling for the car, character, and terrain. The background mountains are a photo I took at a recent trip to Peru. What you see are the Los Andes. Los Andes? Los Andes? I don't know how to pronounce that. But, yeah, I don't fully understand what the story is either. It's like, what does the dude have in his hand?
Like a mallet or a wrench or something? I can't really tell.
Okay. I don't know why his car has loser written on the side, you know? That kind of makes it feel like the car has been left there for a while or something. But I don't know. Like, I would have thought that, you know, he's on like a trip somewhere and the car breaks down and he's got to fix it. But then loser written on the car, that's what's throwing me.
It's almost like, what's the song that's like, have you heard of the Lonesome Loser? It's like, the story is this guy always faces hardship.
I see.
He's already been cast as a loser well before he started this journey. And then sure enough, here the car breaks down. And now you have the crows or whatever that are coming to like take advantage of him. He's already in a bad situation. I don't know, this kind of starts to go into like a movie poster type of thing, you know, where it's so weird and abstract and there's more to this story, but it's a weird story if you come into it from the outside not knowing anything. Like, but it's done so well that you can't dismiss it either, you know?
It's an amazing photograph. I'm just saying I don't think I fully understand what the story is simply because of the loser thing, but maybe it's just as simple as, like you said, he's been through a ton, everything keeps going wrong, and he's having to make it work. Have we rated it?
We haven't.
Let's go. 3, 2, 1. 4 stars. We agree. Have we disagreed? I think we disagreed on 1. I gave it 2 stars.
You remember that back when we were kids, they used to have singles, and they used to have the CD single, and with CD singles, they would have artwork with them, right? This feels like an image that'd be used for like the Gorillas or something, you know, or like you release the next single from your album, and this would be the image that would go along with it. Next image.
Is this the final image?
We have at least one more. I don't want to give away the next image, but...
Oh, I see. Okay. This is my favorite image of the entire critique, I think. I've got a few issues with it, but should we go ahead and rate it?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. 4 stars. We agree. Okay. I love the concept. I think it's so clever. Do you have any memories like this as a kid?
Well, I've read the comments, so at first I was like, this kid's playing video games because of all the posters in the back. It made me feel like this is a gaming scene. But then I'm like, what is the brother doing in the background? And then I read the description and it was like, you know, trying to be an image where the kid discovers, I guess, pornography or something he's not supposed to see for the first time, and he has the brother looking out, you know?
Yeah. I remember at this buddy's house, we discovered this website that had photos of Anna Kournikova, you know, the tennis player.
Yeah, okay.
And it would be like her jumping for the ball, but like the skirt would be coming up or whatever. And we're like, oh no. And like we were looking out, you know, to see if the parents were coming or whatever. We knew we shouldn't be looking at these photos, but that was a vivid memory.
I had a buddy. You know, we all have buddies. It was never us, right?
Sure.
I have a buddy who we went out into his backyard. He had a lot of land behind his house, and he had the car that looked like the image, the car in the last image. This beat down car, and if you like opened up the door, he had like this little box, and it had like Playboys in it or something. And I'm trying to remember, like, if I ever remember a time of being attracted to the opposite sex. Like when you see a naked picture of a girl, maybe for a girl it's a guy, I don't know that experience, but when you see someone naked for the first time, like it's almost like a whole world opens up and you suddenly are like Oh, that's what's there. I don't know. It's like coming of age and going through adolescence. It's just a weird, strange world. But I think everyone remembers the first time they saw what this kid is seeing. Do you wish that the boy in the back was like also kind of peeking over his shoulder? Like he's on lookout, but he's not trying to miss any of the action?
I just don't know if you can capture that in a single frame. On video, you could.
What do you mean in video? Oh, because he could like be doing both?
Yeah, if he was looking back at the screen, you wouldn't be able to tell. You might really think they were playing video games or something.
Or like he's like, he caught his brother or something?
All right, here's my critique of this image. I do not like the composition. I feel like it needs to be cropped in a lot. Something like that. I feel like that is so much stronger of an image. I don't like how bright the Tomb Raider poster in the upper left is. That feels like a mistake. I mean, the Tomb Raider poster is brighter than the kid himself, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. And then the bottle of water that's behind the computer monitor, that seems like the photographer accidentally left it there. Like nobody drinking water would put a bottle of water behind the computer monitor where you can't even see it or reach it. And then like the wires and stuff, I don't mind the main iMac wire, but you know, the other two coming off the left side, and then the upper right side of the wall is just so black. I feel like both boys are lit so well, and I love the color and the color toning that they've put on both of them. But then when I look at other parts of the image, you know, maybe I even want to see some more detail on the bottom left. There's like a guitar and a soccer ball down there. Brighten that up. Why does the Tomb Raider poster look like there's a freaking spotlight on it?
Yeah, I do. Like, there is something about the toning. Like, it starts to feel very flashy. And maybe I was into super flashy composited images. You know, when I say composited, I mean like the flash could be composited in. But my taste seem to have changed, and I like a little bit more subtlety. I almost want the shadows brought up a little bit and for everything to not be so contrasty. But I think the biggest thing is if you crop, like you said, and tighten everything up, I don't know that you need, I don't know where it even needs to go. Maybe it could go, it's hard because the crop in the screen up here is different than what I'm seeing. But
Next up, this was taken by Lauren Parks, by the way.
This is the last image of the critique. So you have won a free tutorial. Head over to fstoppers.com/store, pick out your tutorial. If you did not win, you can still save 10% by using the code CRITIQUE on any of our Fstoppers original tutorials. So feel free to use that. This was also one of the more highly rated images. And I also tried to pick images that had the story in the description. This is the one image that kind of broke that. He left a behind the scenes post that I honestly haven't even checked out, so I don't know what's about to be on there, but I think we have to go to that to know more about it.
Well, hold on. We have been clear in the past.
Clear in the past.
Well, that you have to write in the description details of how the image was taken.
Yeah, but this guy has the most details on his website.
So he links to a website. I'll show you guys the website. He links to a website here that has like a description and then an entire behind-the-scenes video of him making the single image. So I will not disqualify him.
Well, he has it right there. I photographed a series of death in June and missed the closet part. I photographed the main images in Camera Club Studio since I needed a lot of space. The closet part took place earlier in my home studio. Nothing new in editing, but it took some time to get everything looking good to my eye. I don't know. There's like so much going on in this image. I don't know that I've actually had time to sit back and really absorb it all.
Well, absorb away right now. Guess I'll go full screen for you guys. Are you ready?
I am.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars. We agree.
I am giving this a 3 based on like the photography, aesthetics, and like the effort put into it. I know sometimes we say like that doesn't matter. Part of me wants to give it a 2. Part of me does not really.
This image feels very similar to me to the Father Time image. It's
Yeah.
like a lot of work's gone into it, but the final image has this very cheesy, cheap aesthetic that it's difficult for me to put my finger on. I think this one is partly the compositing, and the lighting just kind of feels like it's all over the place. Parts of like the sofa feel like it's glowing and stuff. The skeleton in the closet just feels a little too awkwardly bright.
It's like everything's got a spotlight.
Yeah.
Like a little 3-inch light that's up in the ceiling, and it's spotlighting every element in the scene. And something about that just does not make it feel real. And
Yeah,
I assume, do you assume that the photographer is the guy on the couch?
I do. It does not, the person on the couch does not feel like a good fit for this image. And so therefore, I assume it's the photographer doing a self-portrait
Isn't that a
type
weird
of thing.
like assumption we always just go to? I wonder what our percent right
Yeah,
being is.
I
Like,
don't know.
are we way off? If we're wrong, then I feel like it's just a casting issue. Like, just cast somebody who maybe should have like a hot chick there, and then that would.
How dare you?
No.
How dare you?
Like, people might be upset with that comment, but we're critiquing an image with Jack Daniels and like prescription pills and death. You
That's
know?
fine.
It's like that's okay.
You can't use the chick word. Is that what's by the Jack Daniels or pills?
Yeah, it looks like some kind of prescription drug or something. This guy's. I don't know if he's trying to kill himself or he's on like a medication for and going to therapy, and his therapist is giving him the drug, but he's obviously got like a lot of bad things in his closet that is, you know, metaphoric.
Well, let's wrap up this critique here. I feel like there's literally a knife being stabbed into my ear with this ear infection. It is horrible. I'm going to try to like go to sleep for a while, drug myself up a little bit, and we will come back tonight, and we're going to be doing quite possibly the most important coronavirus journal update ever. In case there's some way you haven't heard, Donald Trump late last night and Melania Trump tested positive. So although I don't feel like making videos right now, we have to tonight. I mean, that's crazy. So make sure you're subscribed. This is a new YouTube channel, F-Stoppers Live YouTube channel. And if you want to be a part of the next critique, we're doing stormy images. Go to fstoppers.com/contests. And if you'd like to check out the tutorials that you can potentially win or buy, head over to fstoppers.com/store. Have I forgotten anything?
No, I think that's it.
Well, you know what? I don't even want to play the outro. I'm just cutting it. Good night, everyone. All right.